Welcome to Pickleball Therapy. This is a special episode of our podcast. Super happy to be here at Rally House with Nick Dawson. Nick, how you doing today?
What's up? How are you, Tony?
I'm doing great. How you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm excited to have you guys in the house today.
I love it. So I wanted to introduce Nick, talk about his facility for a couple minutes, just so you understand the other side of the house. And then Nick and I are going to have a conversation about what I'm doing here because he was curious about, hey, tell me a little more about what you're doing here. He has a lot of professionals here in his local facility, but this is our first time coming into the Rally House here in Carlsbad. I got to remember, I'm in multiple places these days. So here in Carlsbad, California. And so, Nick, let's start the conversation. Just introduce yourself a little bit to the folks out there and a little bit of the story of Rally House.
Absolutely. Yeah. So we got into the space here March of 2025. So I've been here a little over a year. I started playing pickleball during COVID. A lot of people put a court in the backyard. Started playing backyard games.
You decided to build, 11 courts?
We have 11 courts.
We're going to 11.
We're going to 11. Yeah, exactly. We played to 11. Let's put 11 courts in.
I love it.
So we have the club here now. It's been a journey, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But we're off to the races. We've got a very strong community that's following and we're building here, and it's been a fun first year.
Yeah, we were chatting about that earlier, and you mentioned to me that, obviously when you guys started, a little bit of always a little anxiety, right? Because you're like, and you mentioned, like Kevin Costner thing, a Field of Dreams. I'm going to build it. Will they come? Yep. But you mentioned what was really cool to hear about in this community, and I know other folks listening around the country will have this, and around the world will have similar experiences where, you built this beautiful facility, and then you said 60, 90 days, all of a sudden it started to, really build. Tell us a little about that, how the community came together behind the facility.
Yeah, it was, so we did our soft launch, like I said, in March. And I mean, the first 30 days, sparse. There was people coming in and playing. It was word of mouth. We grew primarily through word of mouth. San Diego has a big community of pickleball players and a very, not enough courts for sure. A lot of markets are like that. So I would say, 60, 90 days in is when we started to see the traction, and our accounts were growing about 30 a day of people that were downloading our app to, come and play here. And so we built a community, and I would say within 6 months, it was really, the flywheel was spinning. We were figuring out clinics and classes and starting to really develop the programming behind it. Open play was starting to take on a life of its own a little bit. And then now here we are. So the corporate events was another big key thing. We started doing those early, and that was exciting to see a lot of the businesses in the area wanting to host pickleball events here.
That's beautiful. And then, you have the spillover effect too, where they'll come out to a corporate event, say, this is pretty cool. When can I come play again?
Yeah.
And you mentioned also word of mouth, I think you said was really important to your growth initially in the community. And maybe players out there don't, and let's play with that a couple different ways, right? One is, and without getting into the weeds of it, building a facility like this, these facilities, folks, don't appear overnight. And, and Nick and I were talking about earlier, to play pickleball, we need facilities, we need equipment, right? We need paddles, balls, and hopefully you want some guidance. Hopefully you want some direction. That's where, my team comes into that piece of the equation. But tell us a little bit about a thing like this is, I assume months of work, planning, financial commitment, significant, and things like that. So that players out there kind of get a sense of what you're bringing to the table.
Sure.
And then we'll talk about their role in that process.
Love that. So permitting is huge. That was probably the biggest step for us that I wasn't prepared for, because you got to work with local municipalities. There's all those checks and balances. They want to make sure we're converting a big warehouse. It has to be safe for the players. You got to go through all those procedures and processes and all the paperwork. It's taxing. It took us about 11 months to get the full permit sign off with our certificate of occupancy. And so that was probably the piece of the whole thing that I thought we could do it in about half that time. The build out, yes, it was a big financial, lift to get it to look like this, but that was actually a lot easier than doing the permit. So there's a lot of behind the scenes work that I think a lot of people don't understand. It's not like you said, you just turn on the lights and let's play pickleball. It takes a lot of upfront heavy lifting.
Yeah. And if you've been around the game as long as I have, I started in 2015. I remember playing, and we played wherever we played. I played in gyms are fine, but then there was whatever you found. I played inside of stages, inside small community centers. They would just tape it off and we'd play in there. It was, you play everywhere and temp nets. And then you have these facilities, right, that come in that requires significant commitment. This is, family owned business, just like the one that I've talked to you about that I work out of Largo, family owned. So what I would suggest to you, if you're out there listening to this, is keep that in mind, right? When you're making decisions about where to play, whether, obviously there's cost, right? It does cost money to either become a member at a facility like this, whether it's here in Carlsbad or somewhere else. The court fees. I mean, these places cost money to operate, lights, air conditioning, all that kind of stuff. So just keep that in mind, right, when you're making your decisions. Do what's right for you, but weigh that on the scale, because if we don't have facilities, we ain't playing pickleball. So
another kind of
of course.
One more thing that was heavy on our mind was we wanted the space to feel very elevated and special. We didn't cut any corners. I don't know if you know this. We have court cameras on all 11 courts. So when
that's how you have the little iPads or whatever, some sort of a
tablets.
Display, the tablet system. So
that's for instant replay, and you can also just go on, type in your email at the beginning of a 1 hour or 2 hour session. And what we do is we record the full session. We use AI and we strip out all the dead time. So at 2 hours of playing pickleball might be about a 40-minute video. It also will watch and pick out your 5 best points or rallies, and it looks at facial recognition. Are you excited? Were you guys cheering? And it'll send you at the end of that 2 hours, it'll email you your 5 best rallies or points, the full session. And then with one click, you can put it right on your social media and brag to all your pickleball friends. Hey, I was playing pickleball.
I like it.
It's a lot of fun.
Does it have like a smiley face, like if you're good that day, or like a big frowny face if you were like, you look like you were having a bad day?
So we should look at that.
That would be pretty funny. And listen, I meant to say this earlier, if you're in this area, right, if you're visiting San Diego, you're visiting San Clemente, Carlsbad, all the way, I guess, Southern LA probably even makes sense. Come down here to this beautiful city in Carlsbad and check it out. So, Nick, I know you had some questions about what we're doing here. Happy to field those and give you more information. So.
The pickleball system. So that's like you guys travel around to facilities like this.
Oh.
You put on clinics. You're here for 5 days. This is day number 4.
Yep.
Let's talk about that.
Technically, I think of it. I agree with you. We're at day number 4 here, but to me, it's day number 1 of our new camp. You're good. Because we had 2 camps here. We had a 3-day grad camp and then a 2-day, our camp. So our camp and then a grad camp. Okay. And so, it's all based on the pickleball system. And as I mentioned earlier, facilities, equipment, and then if you want guidance, that's where we come in. Okay. And so our, my love and our love on the team is, can we convey knowledge to players to help them have a stronger relationship with the sport of pickleball? And that's what we've been doing here at this facility. It's what I like about it for our purposes is, we have 3 courts next to each other, 5, 6, 7 for the first 3 days. And the reason we were able to add a 4th court, because initially we only had 3 courts reserved, was because of the 4 courts continuous. That's important to the coaching. And so, we're going to work through the 3 pillars of pickleball today. Last couple of days, we worked through the 3 stressors, the 3 acts. So we like to have a nice curriculum. Great to have a facility where we can deliver the product.
That's awesome. Let's talk about those three pillars that you're talking about for either the first 3 days or today starting day 1. What's the difference in those 2?
You got it. And really, so the way that I view everything that we teach, whether it's the stressors, the actions, the pillars, or anything else, or framework approach, all of those apply all the time. The question is, how do we package the information in a certain way, in a different way, based on the camper. So we like to start with the 3 pillars of pickleball, which are mechanical, how to hit the ball, technique, how to strategic pillar, strategy, knowing what shot to hit when, and then the one that's I think overlooked a lot is the athletic pillar, which is our body and our mind. If your body's breaking down after a game or 2 games, or you can't do certain things with your body, you're not going to play well.
Sure.
Same thing with your mind, obviously. If your mind is cloudy, like we talked about, the smiley face or the frowny face. If you're getting a frowny face out there when you're playing pickleball, you're doing something wrong, because this is pickleball, folks. It's a fun activity. You should be having a great time. And so we work on all the 3 pillars. And in fact, the campers coming today don't know this, but we start all of our camps with actually the athletic pillar, because we start with the visualization technique. We have this thing called the 3-year-old dink. It's very it's our thing. And so we teach them this dink. It looks very basic. When you see it, you're like, and campers, natural pushback, right? Yeah. They're like, why am I hitting this silly little shot? Absolute key to the sport of pickleball. If you learn how to hit that little shot there, because from there you grow into this behemoth of a player. So, but we use a visualization technique, which is athletic pillar, just using the mind. So,
okay, that's cool. Very cool. Well, we're stoked to have you here for the week. It looks like it's been a great clinic each and every day.
Been fantastic. I mean, love the facility, and as Nick mentioned earlier, they haven't cut any corners here. This place is fantastic. It has a beautiful upstairs. We have our nice little lunches there. The
courtside lounges.
Yeah, courtside lounges on all the corners here. Just a great facility here. The lobby is super cool. They have mahjong set up. I guess you can jump on a mahjong. I don't know how it works here, but I know they have the tiles there. You just jump in and play some mahjong. So, so beautiful facility, Nick. It's been a pleasure chatting with you.
Absolutely.
Absolute pleasure being here. Looking forward to our last 2 days here. And this is definitely not our last camp here at Rally House. So we'll be back, and we'll be recording in this beautiful podcast facility that Nick has set up here at Rally House. So if you're in Carlsbad or anywhere near Carlsbad, California, check out the Rally House, and we'll see you next time on Pickleball Therapy. Be well.